Good evening and welcome to ECL Season 48 North America, where a couple new faces on the desk, I'd say. Not a common duo, but one we see nonetheless. And I'd say the exact same, or rather the inverse, for who we've got on the docket between NRG and Nouns. It's a very, very common matchup nowadays, but for Nouns, this is a grudge match, if it is.
It is a little bit. The past at least 2 times that these teams have played this year, once was in May, once was, I think, earlier in the year, April, March. Both of these times, Nouns has taken home the victory. NRG, they've been close. They've not yet managed to take the series. Maps, yes. Series, no. Today, we might well see that change.
It depends, right? I mean, for inside of the ECL circuit, there has been a significant struggle in this for NRG. They haven't toppled him yet, but on the flip side of things, you look outside of it, you take a look back to the Atlanta qualifiers, NRG kind of rocked them twice, so it's maybe them looking for revenge. NRG themselves, who didn't actually qualify through to Atlanta, kind of took Nouns out with them, and I'm sure they're not too pleased about it. But for NRG, there's kind of a lot on the line right now. We discussed earlier on, you and me, about how right now ECL, it's almost about standardized out for what we're going to see in playoffs. The only question now is the seeding. And for NRG, second place and maybe even first down the line is still potentially on the cards.
Exactly. And for people that might just be tuning in for the first time to an ESL Challenger League, especially North America, Europe works a little bit differently. But the format for the season is a double round robin, meaning that every team plays every other team in a best of one twice, which means you see, 24, 26 matches played by these teams. This series has been going on since the middle of July. We have hit the 3-month mark now. So we've got a lot to look at in terms of history, and it's all sort of coming to a conclusion right about now. And for this, both of these teams, there is no way that they don't qualify to go forward and play in the playoffs bracket. In fact, both of them have managed to secure themselves not being in that lower bracket. It's about seeding. I think it's more important for NRG here because that top 2 position to take them directly in to the semi-finals of the upper bracket, which is a huge advantage for them. That's kind of what's hanging in the balance for them today. And of course, penultimate day, there's only one more day after them.
And it's kind of hard, right? Because you look at these two squads and you think, okay, well, how do we rate them against one another? Well, this honestly, in my opinion, might be the most, or at least one of the most competitive best of twos of the entire ECL season. Now, you look through their column of wins, you look through their column of losses, Nouns, NRG, it is almost identical, going very close in maps with M80, both trading alongside that, looking at it against Legacy, who has had their numbers countless times now, and almost the exact same losses they've taken to that team. It just kind of shows neither one of these teams goes into the series in front of one another. And I even think bringing Legacy into the conversation makes for NRG that second seed even more important. Now, I don't think it's that crazy of a take to say going into playoffs. Legacy are easily the favorites to grab one of the two ESL Pro League slots available for contention. So having that number 2 seed and completely sidestepping Legacy, not having to face that rematch until you already qualify for Pro League is an even bigger deal as we get down to it. So for NRG, that makes it even more important to win it, but it's got some contingencies with it. It's not just about winning, it's about them winning, and I believe M80 losing on the other stream.
Yeah, what a hype couple of series that we have tonight. 2 absolute bangers. So if you have a second monitor, or if you have a phone, why not load up the other game? It is being streamed over on, I believe, channel as well. But actually, let's take a look at the teams and the rosters that we're going to be seeing playing, because actually they've been fairly consistent throughout the whole of the season. There hasn't been too much chopping and changing here. Nitro, of course, is back in the Counter-Strike scene. We missed him, and actually has been doing fairly well, all things considered. Looking a lot better than when he, of course, took that temporary leave of absence. But both of these rosters looking really stacked right now.
I mean, he's back on the right side of history, and I'm happy to say that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, as much as I want to talk up NRG, I'll be the one to start discussing Nouns, because there is a lot of talent to go around this team. Obviously, it's very easy to go into this Nouns squad, and eye candy is Junior. This guy is everywhere, and looking even deeper in his own individual performances as of late, you can count on, it feels like one hand, the amount of maps he's going negative in, and you can see the impact that it has for Nouns. It is a very, very green stat sheet for him and his team alike. Maybe thanks to him or not, he is certainly an integral piece of this team. Now, around that, you've got nothing but stars. I love seeing George and Rush both stepping into their form every single time we hit the server. And it feels like George is that second guy in line right behind Junior. So when you go to a map like maybe Ancient, where I'd say Junior's a little more inconsistent, George always there for the punch.
Yeah, indeed. But should we take a look at the veto, actually, see which maps that we are going to be playing on here today? So, of course, there's 2 best of 1, so this is only the veto for number 1, and the map that we are going to be seeing is Ancient. Now, I think this is quite an interesting one. This definitely favors Nouns here. They've played it just a whole bunch, and yeah, they've had some poor results. They've lost it twice, but that was against Wildcard and versus Legacy, and I think you could say those are 2 maybe acceptable losses in the overall things. Those are your sort of top guns aiming for the top. On the side of NRG, they played a lot towards the end of the season, not so much at the start. Really good results, only one also to Legacy as well. So both of these teams played this map, lost to Legacy. It was 8-13 for Nouns, and I think it was 9-13 for NRG. So 1 round difference between them beating against the top. But actually, let's take a look. Our Kidia player to watch this series. So many names you said that we could have highlighted. It came down to a couple, but Junior is who we have decided to highlight here just because such a standout performance recently as well. She said, count on one hand the number of times he's gone negative, and it's almost always been on the maps that they've lost to the teams that, you know, are maybe just a little bit higher caliber, that are taking those steps towards tier 1, playing more on those lands as well. But Junior is going to be the person that we're going to be keeping our eyes on throughout today.
I mean, if I have the number on hand, it was something like 12-6 in maps that Junior goes negative and they don't end up winning, obviously 12 being the ones where they drop. So if we really break it down, there is a significantly higher chance of NRG, I'm sorry, not of NRG, but of Nouns not looking all that hot if Junior isn't playing all that hot, which makes him even more of a highlight reel to watch, because it almost feels sometimes like Nouns' success can live and die with how he performs in maps. And that's where I look at a map like Ancient, because he has been inconsistent on it a couple of times, not necessarily to talk him down, but to show how volatile it can be. Sometimes he's top of the charts, sometimes he's bottom, and it kind of led to a rocky road for their Ancient, though as we mentioned, some very strong teams in there. And as we look more into Ancient, obviously we mentioned how both of these teams went very close against Legacy, and that's a good benchmark, but it's what surrounds that for NRG that has me a little more concerned. Recently in CCT outside of ECL, they kind of got dumpstered by Boss. Not saying Boss is a bad team, they're an RMR qualificant. NRG lost to them, I believe, in the RMR qualifier. It's not exactly going to breed a lot of motivation for me to say that NRG have the upper hand going into it. The only thing that necessarily leads me to assume NRG have that upper hand is the very, 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 very recent couple of wins they had over Nouns. Beyond that, cut and dry, it feels like Nouns might just have it here.
I do need to ask you, if you were to put on paper right now one team to take the victory, who are you putting your money on?
Hey, I always bet with my heart, so I have to pick NRG. I have been a Hex lover since the day he broke out onto the tier 1 scene, and I never hopped off the train, even when there were a couple of inconsistencies. I'm talking all the way back on his original tenure in EG. Yeah, we got our history straight. Point is, I love this guy, and it feels like even as of late, he's had a hot hand. Now, I will say, specifically past couple of maps, it's not been as hot as you'd like, but that's where you look at the other pieces of this team, where you mentioned Nitro earlier. He has been lights out for NRG as of late, and we mentioned that he comes back from Valorant, now back on the right side of history. He's stepped up in a way that felt like was missing before. He was on, I actually think he was on NRG before he actually swapped over to Valorant, but the point was, it wasn't the same Nitro of old. It felt like it was just a shell. Now, completely different, and we're seeing him take over games more and more.
Absolutely. However, I'm going to go with Nouns here. They're just looking a little bit strong at the moment. When you line up the victories against the same teams, because of course double round robin in this sort of bracket format, you can line up how each team did against other teams. And when you're looking at the top guns, Nouns have just been having better results against the people at the top now. And yes, they're slightly further down, they've lost a couple more maps along the way. The fact that they've had better showings against the likes of your wild cards, your legacies, that's just, it's given me a little bit of faith. And also, I'm a big fan of the Noggles. I'm a big fan. I'm mad that I don't have a pet.
Be.
I'm mad that I don't have a pet. I'm trying to rectify that as quickly as possible. But you know, a little bit of a bit with my heart there as well. And I'm going to give you the opportunity here because I know you really want to.
Okay.
There's a player on NRG that you really like to talk about, and that's Hexed. What is it that appeals to you about Hexed, and what can we expect to see from him? Maybe specifically on Ancient, or maybe just a little bit generally here. Just go wild, info dump on us.
So what really took me by surprise about Hexed was, I again think back to when he originally came through on the main Evil Geniuses roster from one of the I believe he came from EG Black, if I'm not mistaken, got pulled up. Point was, you instantly started seeing the drive this kid had. You would see him throwing new sets of utility, perfectly playing around his teammates, and Hexed, to me, he has that hero fragging potential. He can be set up. He can take over games. He can win you rounds. but he doesn't necessarily use that fire in a way that gets him abused. And that's what I love about him. He knows what he can do. He knows what he's capable of, and he goes into series knowing he can be an X factor, but that doesn't mean if he has a good looking round, he walks in, gets 1-2 entries, that he's going to throw away his life going to try and get 2 more, going to try and finish a job that's already done and overstep his boundary. He plays so well with his team. The chemistry is there. You can tell he's calm, he's relaxed. Every time I see this guy on streams, winning, losing pugs, he's not tilted, he's not frustrated, he's having a good time. So you get the whole package with this guy. You don't have any egocentrism, you don't have airheadedness, you don't have mental fatigue or tilt. It's just one of the most perfect players, in my opinion, you could ask for in North America.
That's fair, and that's exactly what you need as well for a region that comes under fire sometimes a little bit for those really strong personalities. We'll put it that way. Really, really strong, fiery personalities, which is part of why I absolutely adore the region as well, and why I'm willing to step. Reference, it is 2 a.m. for me, and we have not even started the first best of 1. But it's that passion and fun I really love to see that really drives me towards this region as well. But you do need to have the players on the other side to counteract that as well. The level-headedness, and it's good to see. It's really nice to see. He's been a player that's been on a lot of people's radar a lot recently, and I know everyone was a little bit worried when, of course, EG Gold and Black and was it Red as well, their academy team? When Evil Geniuses decided not to exist. I think EG Gold was their ESL Impact team.
Okay, yep.
But yeah, they had a bunch of teams, and then because they were doing that crazy, was it like 10, 15 person roster, and they were like, "You're a North American free agent. Come here.
I mean, like, it was good for a couple of teams in the regions. Obviously, you've had like Party Astronauts who have been mainstays in our squad or in our space for a very, very long time. So having them actually orged with some actual financial support was a step in the right direction. And I believe we even saw that specific squad qualify for some lands, but then there was, the whole purgatory of you can't go here because of conflict of interest, yada, yada. And that was the whole issue with the project, which, inevitably led to its collapse. Old news, in and out the door. We've already talked about this. But the point is, there is so much potential for almost every single piece of that roster that, honestly, I think they're better off without having that thing holding them back. However, obviously, you could tell we're rambling a little bit. We're trying to spill this on until we get to the map. However, seems we're going to be on a further tech delay, so we're going to throw things to a little break, and when we come back, we'll be ready to jump straight into Ancient. Breaking news, we have the knives going on right now, and I may have lied just a wee bit saying we'd go straight back into Ancient, but we're not too far off of the horizon, so again, we could take a quick summary of what we think this map is going to look like. I think, again, a lot of this comes down to Junior for me and how well, or I guess not well, he does.
So I think something that's also quite interesting to highlight here as well is that we talked about how Junior is going to be one of these really stand-up people that needs to have this presence for them to win and do well, which is, it's always awkward to have a reliance on one player for that, but also they've just come off the back pretty recently of winning Fragga Cargo, I think it was. Yeah, it was Fragga Cargo. So they've played on LAN together recently, and that does wonders for a team. So you've had an opportunity to get your communication a little bit finer tuned as well. So I think that's really just going to bolster them a little bit. They're going to have the confidence flowing as well. A LAN win under your belt is nothing short of a massive boost to the mental. But let's get this pistol round started as well, because that's the only way we can truly determine whether this grudge match NRG finally break their curse and whether they can take that top 2 slot straight into the upper bracket semifinals.
It's time. This is a team whose opportunities have come and gone for NRG, and this is one of their last fleeting chances to start qualifying for bigger and better things. I mean, obviously, we've laid it out on the table that both of these teams will be seen in the upper bracket of playoffs, but again, it cannot be understated enough what it means for NRG to take this swimmingly. So, on the CT side pistol, they start, and not much happens in the mid-round, except some quick spotting. Automatic first contact.
That's a rough one, Breezy. Going to be run on down. CJ does find one. And they have now suddenly got quite an empty site. Automatic's got a nice line of sight, and the rest of the reinforcements are already here. The utility might slow them down a little bit, but they are already ahead of it. Rush gets 2, still wanting a little bit more. George gets 1, Norsack with another, and quick as you like, that is the pistol round done and dusted, and it's flawless.
I don't even know if those were Carson's dualies to begin with. I almost think he yoinked those off of a dead body on sight. Point is, still flying colors was that round from Nouns, and NRG already showing maybe some awkward signs of spacing. After that first kill came through in mid, it always felt like they were kind of one step behind where they should be. You saw the re-aggression through CT spawn. It's very, very few and far between that you get chances to just take those raw fights to get back into a round without a smoke pit having bloomed. And they even had one, just beat him to the punch. Now it's a forced buy in which NRG put it all on the line.
Yeah, a little bit apprehensive. No waiting for that retake. If they'd just taken a moment to pause, might have seen something different. But here we go. There's the fight again. Automatic, a little bit too antsy to try take this fight. And suddenly, 2-player disadvantage. They forced in the OC with the scouts, a weapon that's really coming back into Star recently. Nade is only going to tickle them, and they're struggling to keep this boost going and spotting anybody over, and actually nobody going to show face just yet. It is Rush on the other side, but just being a little bit of a placeholder at the moment. That bomb is clearly committed towards B right now. I like the presence, however, they've got from George elsewhere. Can cut off the rotates from Breezy potentially, but no, it's going to take them on down. But I think that might actually, they're toying with the idea of a rotate because of the lack of the information they've received elsewhere.
Yeah, that kill is huge. That not only spot of the bomb, I mean, originally Nouns had that second prong to go back to A if things went awry, but losing George in Donut's kind of a big deal. It's still not necessarily numbers up, but it's a good look.
Here's Rush. There's the first one. Sits the corner of the shoulder. OC finds one and actually goes for another peek. Not going to be able to yield any more results, and Breezy has already done so much for the team. That opening pick needs to be a little bit more. There's the first. Knife is out. Is going to have to clear out CJ here. It's a rough angle. Is he even going to expect it? He does kind of clear it, but he double guesses himself. And there's CJ with the kill and a second round for Nouns. They dismantle the force buy, and that puts NRG's economy in the dirt.
I mean, Nouns kind of took a big risk there. You saw them instantly go out the gates, run out mid, and say, we're going to win our duels, and then dangle that advantage in front of you for the remainder of the round. You saw instantly George not only takes one with him in mid, but completely sets up shop in Donut, forces NRG to have to move back in at multiple different angles in which you just start seeing them get collapsed upon. Nouns, so many different ways to out that round, so many audibles they can call on the fly, and even though, yes, things do initially go wrong in the mid-round toward A, it's just so strong at B that it doesn't matter. Same here.
Exactly. Norsac already taken so much space. That smoke gonna cut off automatic. I say smoke, sorry, Molotov and a smoke just to do it, but does manage to get one. Breezy firing through the smoke, manages to get another, and suddenly, out of nowhere, somewhat luck, somewhat skill, and a little bit of that spidey sense in the background, they managed to award themselves a huge advantage. No weapons to be retrieved just yet. And OC, the trigger discipline, it's actually not going to work for him. He doesn't manage to find the kill, and George just trying to put some space between him. That Molotov going to force the fight, isolates the damage with Hexed, and now OC's low. That kill would have been everything because they still would have 4 players alive. But now that bomb gets to go down off the back of all of that. Nitro so close already, but Junior going to put a halt to that one. Automatic OC. OC really needs to atone for those missed shots right here, right now. But honestly, what can they find? Locked out by the smokes, and they're not fading anytime soon.
And OC's chances there, and they are going to feel that for the next few rounds. They still are ample to take these fights back in. OC on 7 HP, though, as you said. What can you really ask for here? I think the answer will be a swift win and nothing. Same with Automatic. And the Pistols do not seem to have a Cinderella story in them. And that feels like it's a round robbed from them. You mentioned it. I entirely agree. OC finds that kill in mid. It's open season. Guns litter the battlefield for NRG to pick up, wield, and stop them from getting into the B site's prowess. But one kill goes awry, you get info on 2 players now isolated in mid, you know it's pistols v rifles and even numbers at B, you just scale up and it is what it is.
Indeed. OC on the AWP, and hopefully we can see this be the difference maker that they need, because actually a lot of these players very low in the kill department, 2 on 0, 2 on 1. And they've got really proactive on B, and actually loads of information to be found here. They've not heard anything ramp, and they've sent Nitro all the way to have a look.
They missed their smoke. They missed their smoke on Donut. You're going into a sight take, and you have no idea what's going on here. That trade on Breeze is one thing, but now you've got an open sight line for the AWP, who only grabs a leg.
That's so rough, and the fact that they can bounce back from that immediately. Automatic, there's a problem, and this is something we'll highlight at the end here. But these retakes, they feel like they're just not waiting. They've got no patience. They throw themselves head, body, mind, heart, and soul directly into it without even taking a moment to pause there. And NRG, they do have to just save here. Too far gone is this round, and their money not in a situation they can afford to lose either of these. Now, Nouns, they probably don't want to send too many people hunting. They've got 4, they've secured themselves the round. Maybe you send, Rush, Junior, somebody to go have a little bit of a look, because if you can take away these rifles, you know that you put them in a really bad spot. You're still not at a place that you're comfortable with your own money, however, to really want to throw away too much.
Yeah, and these 2 guns are integral for anything in the following round. Man, this feels like it's another round that NRG kind of come up short in, whether it's supposed to be a Nouns conversion or not. There's just so many different hiccups that it felt NRG couldn't possibly lose that round. You start with the missed donut smoke, which is a world of difference. Now, as an A-site anchor, it's not necessarily your job to win the round for your team, but one big piece is buying time. Those rotations, as you say, you take an extra couple of seconds to set them up. They're so much stronger, but they don't ever get that time because their site anchor falls so quick.
That they are. Nitro burning alive, and so much information. If Norsac didn't do it, the Flame sure as hell would have. Now Junior finds one of his own. Hexed, white out in the open. This is a dangerous position. High risk, high reward, and all it is going to be is loss. Rush on the site. Junior, that little bit of a backstop here as well to hold any silly business from mid. But actually not even going to be needed because the call to save already made.
It's another round that stings, man. It's just these buys have not been going their way, and it's not even like they're long, gruesome rounds. Nouns just kind of win it off the jump. A lot of their initial game plan hasn't necessarily been entirely reliant on just running in and taking heads with you, but it's pretty damn close. It's almost feeling like every single time NRG are trying to get one step ahead of them, but end up falling behind long term. You see a great idea. They flash into B ramp. They fight it from 2 separate angles. They send 2 down from the B side and 1 flashed in from mid. And everywhere you look, it all falls apart. Whether it's for missed spacing, whether there's missing a flash or 2. It's just, it is a dumpster fire of a round, and it's another one that goes the way of Nouns. And another investment, mind you, as well. This is likely a save on the horizon. I don't imagine there's a great force to come through. If you want, maybe Hext goes to like a FAMAS or something. Same with OC. But I guess I just may right now they're buying.
I'd say that, but honestly, with the results and the frags, or lack thereof, should I say, that we're seeing right now, I think that maybe the better option would to be eco and then try go in with the full weaponry and utility instead of try squeeze it out. But actually, I think they've got more than enough for a buy here. It might be a little bit lacking in the utility from the likes of Breezy, but everyone else should be able to get everything they need online. The only question is, if they don't buy here, are they saving to try get another AWP for OC? It doesn't look like it. I think maybe that's something they discussed in this little bit of a timeout.
I mean, you gotta craft up something. I think a lot of this for me is coming down to the way they've played around mid. You see a lot of teams on Ancient go for full-on mid aggression. They stall you out from taking it as a T. They make you wait ample time, and that can have a load of effects around the map, especially if they're a team that have heavily relied on taking the catwalk. You can stall them out. You can isolate them. You can make it a lot harder for them to push forward into a site with that, but this time around it's more reserved. Staying back in cave is Nitro for the opening pick.
There's Rush, immediate answer there. They're not going to let any of these opening duels go without some sort of a response. And it's quick, it's immediate, and it means that the round doesn't really spiral. Flash to get them round the corner there, and Molotov Hext won't be anywhere up close and personal, so that's not going to be too hard of a clear. But it's just going to back away to the back of site there. Has OC nearby for the rotates. Actually, the patience... doing their due diligence. There's the smokes and the molotovs that are going to get them onto site here. Just got to wait out the spam.
I'd imagine if they don't get a kill here, this is just going to shape up to be a save. There's so much utility to go against you, but as soon as I say that, a little too much offered up. Hex traded via HE. Not even necessarily needing to see him for the round to again fall apart, and NRG are still attempting to see what other choices do you have? Not many. But it doesn't make the situation any prettier. That was your only kit. Well, I guess automatic found one somewhere in CT, though. And they're not going to give you anything in this. You can maybe take a look in, glance around, but moral of the story will be you saving that MP9 and trying to battle back from being down 6-0. This is the CT side of Ancient, too. And Nouns are almost making this look like a T-sided map.
I'm going to say something, maybe a little bit controversial here. And this is not a reflection on this game specifically, just a general CS2 observation of the past couple of months. It's just a really T-sided game at the moment. It feels like the T-sides have always been what's impressed me, and that everyone struggled on CT side, but the moment they got on CT, and a large part of it is the economy, but also, I think it's so weird. It's just, I don't know if it's just me, I don't know if it's just recency bias, but... The T sides have been spicy recently.
And it's only spicier when you add the combination of the Nouns players. Again, it's not even a game where Junior's taken over. It's pretty much everybody else. He's had his impact, sure, but this has been the Georgian or us show again, dude. I don't even know where that kill or shot came from, but heck, Nitro and Hex to both started this round on like no HP.
It is rough. Breezy, if that had been a kill, could have been a little bit of a breathing room, a bubble of air in what is quite a vast ocean for them right now. But they've managed to whittle down the health a little bit of George and CJ. And so hopefully they can build off the back of that. Lovely Molotov to force the fight there. And there we go, finally even on numbers. They have actually something in the back of their minds. They've called the rotates over towards B. They have to be oh so careful of casting, however.
I mean, they're suspicious of this. You've got OC running back with no ideas since he spawned. The assumption was that he would be late lurking mid, something like that. But that given up angle is going to cost them dividends because he is wrecking them through and through in CT spawn. Automatic. Yeah, it doesn't help that he didn't get a kill back in Cat, but realistically speaking, didn't matter if he did. Nouns have just got this so well orchestrated that even when things go wrong, they know how to build off of it.
Indeed. Another timeout being called here, and they're burning through them really quickly, and you can see why something needs to change. You know what? I think it's in moments like this that we really need to call upon the wisdom of G2 Taz, where they just need to get some rounds, you know? To win, they just need to get rounds. But jokes aside, I think I'd love to see a bit of a switch up of the pace, because it feels like the pacing has been really, really odd. It feels like it has been always just a little bit too quick. I want them to play really passive. I want them to play for these retakes, but I want them to wait for their teammates and coordinate a little bit more for these retakes. I think is what I can see maybe breaking this stalemate. And there's a fumbled smoke, and all hope I had, it starts to dwindle a little bit. But again, it's the first 10 seconds of the round, fully redeemable.
Okay, the good news for them right now is that there's no players of Nouns trying to take B Catwalk. That's a good and bad thing, because they're still sold on trying to take this map control. But look at where they've gone in the meanwhile. Nouns fully collapse into A. The only one here is OC, and he does his job.
That he does. Opener, and more importantly, they haven't found a trade just yet. This is the difference maker. Rush is going to be the one to do it. They can hear the sound cue, and they know that he's there, and Junior from behind, straight into the back of the head, and he's going for a little bit more as well. Sight, borderline empty. There's Carson going to be taken on down, but that bomb already there. And actually, it looks like they're already wanting to back away a little bit. Junior holding for mid, however, just in case they try sneak round donut, just in case they try escape through mid. And NRG, they don't even see it worth it. Back away, no kit available, and well, I'd definitely say the right call there, but you got to look at it. I always try to be really nice, and I hate calling out
Go off.
frag departments, right?
Let them know.
But when you've got 3 players who are going into round number 9 and only have 1 kill each, there's a problem. There's clearly something wrong here. And you can talk about how Junior is so quick on the trigger, that Rush is getting these amazing openings. You have to find a way to get a kill somehow, though. I don't care whether it's with the utility. You need to do something, because having 3 players on 1 kill each going into round 9, that's... You can try sugarcoat it as much as possible, but I'll get flack in Twitch chat for trying to defend it. There is a certain point where you've just got to be like, you need to get some kills.
There's a difference too, right? To your credit, there's a lot of times where you see stat lines like this, and you can throw it up to, oh, you know, it's just really good flashing, really good space taking, but NRG are just kind of getting out-aimed right now. There's no misdirection, there's no smoke and mirrors, there's no make Nouns look here and then, you know, swing in from the back and have a free kill. That's not happening. Here, again, you're gonna see them pop open the smoke. This is just an honest dodge duel they're taking, and this has happened for a majority of the game. That's just you getting out-dueled, and it seems automatic steps back into play to change that.
This is nice, having more presence over there and managing to get the trade kills. And this is the thing that we talked about, is getting the kills and the trades when they need to come through. They get the first one, and then they manage to spiral after that, and they put a round on the board for them. And you can see automatically, this is what we talked about, is that there's more kills already. Doubled kills, and automatic, quadrupled his number of kills in 1 round. Beautiful 3K to finally get something going. It's one of those things that frags don't mean everything. If they're having impact, right? But you do also have to have them in the first place. And NRG, they actually played that really well. They were hitting their marks, getting those trades, and it allowed for them to go 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 and come out on top there.
Go round for Nouns, and they're gonna do it again. Try to run out, DM their way into a round win. This time seems like there's more hesitation. This is what you need to see more of. That misdirection on the chaos, flashes coming in and blinding up players.
I think therefore I am with confidence here. And now Hex, not really sure what to look. The flashbangs are amazing, but the issue is they're kind of backfiring a little bit here. But gets 2. OC's found 1 of his own, and now Carson, the only one left alive, isn't even going to be allowed to plant. Backside, just tapped away. And that's the second round of the conversion. Now, the difficulty that they're going to have is, this is looking really promising. They figured out that the super fast plays is what's working for them. They've decided that maybe the aggressive wasn't enough. Really aggressive is where it is. But at some point, probably now that a timeout's being called, Nouns is going to sit back and go, okay, now we know what they're doing and what's worked for them. How do we adapt to counteract this completely nuts style of early round, right? So do we play super passive? Do we go even more aggressive? Have this discussion about how to counteract the one thing that has now worked for NRG and how to stop it happening again.
I think if you're going to see a change from Nouns, it's going to be a lot more slower out of the gates. We haven't really seen them stick back to a default. I'm talking like back behind B doors, outside mid, just holding for a push, maybe set someone up in A tons. And I'm thinking a couple of rounds ago where it is just a full out A pop from Nouns. I'm thinking once a half. I feel like there's almost no games you can find where it doesn't happen, where a T side just full eggs XA, they've long-term conditioned you to maybe try to fight for catwalk or mid, and it's just a vacancy, right? Here, I would expect it to be more reserved. As soon as I say that, they go running out mid.
Indeed. Now, there's Breezy with the first one. A little bit of damage onto Carson as well is always nice, and this is a dangerous position to be in. Stood in the middle of the smoke, because the moment it fades, you are done for. Rush does manage to find a little bit of a consolation kill to make sure that the tables aren't turned too heavily here. Nitro spots an elbow. The issue is automatic. A little bit of trigger discipline. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and Rush, in the meantime, has already found so much, and now they can just peel away. They have the bomb. They've brought everyone over to A, and now they can go anywhere they damn well please.
Gotta be quick about this, though, because you saw Breeze creep through that CT smoke. He was suspicious of something like this happening. It was a risk, maybe not well warranted, but the reward is certainly there. Now they know exactly what Nouns are doing. However, they just can't get to the site in time. Rush already set up to take a fight through CT.
There's the spam, and Rush with another two. It's impeccable, and the fact that there's nothing in response, that he manages to get them without even flinching. Now automatic. Last round, well, penultimate round of the half, sorry. You can go for it if you want, but also you've got a kit, you've got armor, you've got a weapon, you've got a molly. That's just too much money to be throwing away, especially when Nitro is on nothing. Might be able to win this fight out here. Matter of timing. He does actually get it. Now back away, but he is being chased. Long range fight. He has the angle because he has the high ground and will get both. Timer, of course, way too far gone. The round is beyond saving. But at least he does a little bit of damage there. I want to say economic damage. Look at the numbers, Anthran.
Yeah.
It's not really economic damage if they're sat on that much anyway.
Nah, at that point, you're kind of just playing for your own confidence. You mentioned earlier, I still think there's a lot of great grounds to the point you present about you can't have 3 players on 1 kill. But it wasn't just 3 players on 1 kill. It was all 3 of your B players on 1 kill. Hexed, automatic, Nitro were stuck on that margin for so long in counts, just constantly getting pounded at B. And you saw holes start to open up.
Now, talking of opening up mid, NRG's playground once again. They're not even going to be contested here. I think Nouns realized that running directly into mid and trying to hide in the smoke didn't work for them for the first time, or the second time, or the third. But they learned, and they have stopped doing it. And so they are just deciding to head elsewhere, push these extremities, and unfortunately they push right into OC's gun barrel. Now, George, this Molotov could really, really sell it here. They've already taken one down, and you could write that off as a lurk, right? A second one and a molly invested, maybe a little bit more questions raised here. They haven't managed to spot how far Rush has got, though. But they've got so many eyes here. The crossfire is so well established. Junior trying to get something, anything, nothing to be found. And now it's George, who is trying to sell a fake. Didn't do a very good job at selling it. And now, going to be the last one to drop. It's going to be 9-3 going into the half. 3 rounds salvaged from the absolute tear that Nouns was on here, ripping up the battlefield that is Ancient, and now a pistol round really, really necessary right now for NRG to even try keep themselves in this game. Of course, it's not over till it's over, but you let Nouns get 10-3, 11-3, and suddenly your job goes from huge to behemoth.
It's so much harder nowadays to come back in halves like this after you drop the pistol. It's just such an insurmountable gap in MR12, and already I would say off to a poor start, but they've actually forced the aggressors and Atons off. Instead, they look elsewhere, now in mid.
Larson, ooh, tagged, but are they going to expect him to have gone forward? Takes the initial fight, actually dueling with 1, 2, 3 more heads keep popping out. So whack-a-mole. Junior does find one, maybe. That is a little bit of room for them to work with. OC here, if he can find even one, that's huge. A lot of damage done, and maybe just enough, because every single one of these players, one bullet could be the end of them. That bomb is going to go down for NRG. Suddenly, things looking a lot nicer for them. A timer looming above Nouns' head. Dancing around the corner. A quick reload for Rush here. But this crossfire that they've established is pretty scary.
Oh my god, they just dismantled it though with one fell swoop. CJ the King, that's probably the hardest kill to get in the whole round. I say that though as automatic with his head turned, only seems to need one bullet when he's on a swivel like that. And you mentioned what it can look like. You give 12, maybe, or 10, maybe even 11 to Nouns. Well, you don't have to worry about that now. Win yourselves a pistol and you're right back in it.
9-3 is the new Zonic's Law. Nayori's Cuss, I believe it is now being dubbed. But it's the same theory as Onyx Law with 11-4. It's that it's actually a lot closer of a scoreline than you realize if you take that pistol and then you convert the rounds off the back of it. That suddenly it's really easy to lose, and maybe it's a little bit deceptive at face value. So who knows? Maybe we see that coming into effect here. NRG, they actually managed to avoid the gamble stack here, and where the Nouns want to go for it, they've got a couple of upgraded weapons and a single flashbang left, and there's no reason really not to. And now NRG, they just have to do their due diligence and play this safely.
Yeah, I think Nouns have no interest in going back in for this. It's not even necessarily the fact that they're trying to keep these guns in the next round, but more so prohibit NRG from getting bonus cash. You don't know what's on this bonus. You don't know if it's MAC 10s, and you'd rather not find out. So maybe in the end, one man steps a little too far in line. You set him back in his. You take a gun. All's well that ends well as you go into your full purchase. But hey, it's not bad, right? Couple pistols start grouping up on catwalk. Get a couple frags out of it. Nothing too shabby. But a couple rebuys first. Draw the hands as you shake them. Now 9-5. And you head into the first rifle intrigued as to what Nouns bring onto the playing field. Because you mentioned it, how was kind of bar for bar aggression in that first half. Nouns, they weren't scared to go running in, but NRG, it felt they were a little too hot to trot. Now, I almost imagine if that stays the same case, if Nouns keep up with that pressure and just try to run it down their throats.
I think it's a very different matter on T side, isn't it? You can be really wildly aggressive and people praise you for it. On CT side, people sort of raise their eyebrow and go, what on earth are you doing? But Junior finally has that AWP out. There's not really much utility to support it, however, is my main worry here. There's one of the big pieces of utility gone, trying to defend that donut position. And Junior, player that we highlighted at the start, a Kadia player to watch this series. It's got a really nice long line of sight, but there's so much utility to just shut this down. A single molly or smoke there. And he is locked out of the initial fight.
Such a massive portion of the map to hang on to. That's why you see the second man rotate in. Carson and CJ tasked with one of the biggest defenses of the round, and they've answered the call. 2 kills, unanswered 4. The bomb spotted in A main. They know it's an A approach, and they've got Junior pretty much collecting debts, even if a shot's missed. A 1v5 now explodes in the face of Nitro, and they're going to push him down. They don't care.
They've got George already on the case here. And what I want to see is I want to see George sit still and not do anything because he's going to hear the footsteps potentially. Doesn't need to. Slow, silent, deadly assassin just to take away any weapons there. And it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable for NRG coming into this for some of these players. Others, they're going to be able to buy a couple of Tech 9s. I expect a couple of Deagles to be seen here as well on the likes of Breezy and Hexed. But for everyone else, very quiet round, and final timeout being called here. Now, this is a little bit scary because this round isn't likely to be one that they have the best buy for, so it's unlikely to be a round that we see them take the victory with, right? And then if they do want to come for this comeback, they will have no more timeouts to try keep this momentum up. And I don't know. This is a scary position to be in here. They are going to force into it, however. It's going to be messy. What's Nitro going to go for is the question. Tech 9. There we go. Tech 9 and a whole load of utility.
I guess I understand the purchase from NRG's perspective, right? You buy on 11, you save on 12, you buy into the last. So it makes the most sense to go for a very scrappy buy here, whereas you'd kind of feature one of these anyway, and you'd rather it be now than later. But this also does kind of rely on you getting a bomb plant. So their idea, ace in the hole, rush me, and they are met by heavy artillery.
Heavy artillery indeed. 2 nade kills, and George throwing his name into the hat as well. Junior makes that orb absolutely ring out. And now they are hunting down this final kill. There is 11, and that's the damning situation, isn't it? Because now, we talked about it, they buy into that one with the attempts to stave off 11, right? But now they go into the round that will secure Nouns map, and technically, because we're doing 2 best of ones, series point number 1. But it's going to be a rough climb back if they want to see overtime. And there's a certain level of believing that I can do. We've seen some incredible comebacks. I just think that Nouns are so hot today that it's just damage control now.
Yeah, well, now you got to worry about the flip side of what we came into this series talking about. We mentioned how NRG's potential was to secure and lock down that 2nd seed. Well, now you've got to worry about being 4th, because it's not like you're going to drop a spot to Nouns. At this point, you'd still have to, I believe, actually, I'm not mistaken, I think this is their last best of 2 in ECL for the season. But still, point is, I don't believe there's a world they can necessarily lose the seeding spot to Nouns later on down the line. However, Wildcard absolutely can. Wildcard are only 1 map behind them right now in ECL. If they go 2-0 in their final series and you get 2-0'd here, which current track record ain't really boding to NRG's favoritism, all of a sudden you go from being what could have been the 2nd seed to the 4th, or hell, maybe even 5th seed.
I'm with you. I think this is NRG's last match. Nouns still have 1 to go. Well, 2 best of ones to go after this. And that is against Mythic. But yeah, this is it. This is our final round of the group stage for NRG. OC.
I don't know where this round came from. This was just a blink, and all of a sudden Nouns have been thrusted out kind of round. I don't know how they get back in. I don't know how things go so wrong for Nouns, but OC just put the team on his back. He started this round with a deagle. He ends it with an op and a hat trick, and NRG end it with a 6th. Now is where the money game can really start to commence, too. This will be a full rebuy from everybody on the board beyond CJ for Nouns. No more safety net established. Full buy for NRG, who now, instead of staving off 12, get to contend before it's even series point. And you want to talk about deceptive scores, this can fall right into that book. You're going to start getting these rounds at a fire sale price of 2 for 1 if Nouns don't come right back at you.
That indeed. I think that previous round as well is for all of those OC haters that are now OC apologists as well. Who I think many are coming to see that OC with the right team is an amazing over. Automatic gets 1, but Carson 2 to try and deal with it. It goes back and forth, and it's so scrappy. A proper bloodbath in the ring today, and now 2v2 Rush taking a little bit of damage here, but you look at the utility still available for Nouns. And in a 2v2, maybe marginally less important. And the opportunities to use it can get a little bit difficult, easy to be overrun when there's only 2 of you to cover the whole of the map. But actually, they've got the whole of the site. The issue is that Hexed is in a wild position and could so easily just put the thorn in the backside. There's the kill onto Junior, and there's the empty bomb site. Rush has got to come on over and now contend with the 2v1.
That's just off timing, and Rush is certainly going for this. They put it all on the cards here. They've got pretty much everything you can ask for to attempt to clutch. Well set up as the last 2 remaining members of NRG, both playing around the fire, but a little off the mark. Rush, the first on Hex, the second not so good. Breezy did give him a chance, but it's one not seized, and now NRG continue to crawl back at that gap.
Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. This gap isn't looking very scary anymore. This has gotten quite out of hand quite quickly here for Nouns. They're still in a very strong position, but the issue is their financial padding's kind of gone. This round is going to be a hero rifle and nothing but.
I don't know how much I like this, but
I guess we'll find out. That hero rifle, unfortunately, is not going to be on the site where the action's happening either. He's relying on his teammates in the pistols. They've had these eco rounds be very successful against them. Now it's their turn to turn the tides, and Hexed crawling on up. Not been spotted yet. Smoke.
See you too. That sucks. That sucks. CJ had just rotated in and everything, but they can't get the flash off in time. Rifle's picked up. It's not the biggest of losses. Rush has got it right in his hands. But what good is cave control to you if you only got a USP? Well, that good is Junior just walks up and takes a head with him. At this point, though, with the round so desolate, I'd almost imagine Rush's only objective is to survive. No head armor, though, or rather no armor in general, makes aim punch quite the cruel mistress. Carson's just playing for exits.
Yeah, this one, bit done and dusted, and there's not even going to be a weapon to retrieve. Everyone died on site, and he is not going to be allowed to see that. But 11-8, suddenly 3 rounds difference. Yeah, it's not over till it's over. Nouns, they can buy into this one. It's, as you said, it's rough. You know, Rush watched his teammate rotate all the way over and got to witness as the bullet pierced his skull. And you gotta feel bad for it. That one's gotta hurt. Even if he had been there, I don't think it would have changed the outcome if he hadn't died there. I think that, you know, it was just an unfortunate kill that toppled the rest, but someone would have been the first to go. Now, second timeout being called here from Nouns. They are also having a bit of a discussion, trying to figure out what is going wrong for them. And this is where we talk about the fact that it's starting to feel like a very T-sided game.
I mean, hey, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. That's kind of what we're seeing, as both T-sides have completely taken over the match. And NRG have quite the opportunity on their hands to take away this lead. Well, maybe not this round, but only a hop, skip, and a jump away leaves Nouns without an op, leaves them with less utility than to be desired, and most notably, no kits. This round is almost entirely going to come down to if NRG gets 1 or 2 openers. They crack into a bomb site, I guess pretty much unfazed with 2 kills. Nouns are going to call it off.
Ooh, Carson really aggressive here, and actually is going to go 1 for 1, but CJ, that's the difference maker. Unfortunately, Hexed from up the top there, that is going to equalize them once again, and this is something that NRG, they struggled with, was these early duels, keeping themselves even on the trades here. OC, that's huge. That's a massive one to find. George gets both. Another.
That's a big flub from Nouns. They've not only just shot through the wall, but they've mistimed it. So Hex does get traded. It's 2-on-2. That's all fine and well, but NRG now know nobody inhabits the A site right now. You get to set up, you get to get a bomb plant, you have free sight line into CT, and OC saw at least one of them cross. You know you're stuck at Temple, and they don't have utility to come back in. They have to out-duel their opponent.
And that's the way to do it. You don't get them give them the line of sight. You chip away through the wood that you know you're hiding behind. And there it is, the wide swing Ferrari speeds. And finally, the curse is broken. And match point is finally achieved for Nouns. And they're probably wondering, why couldn't we have done this just a little bit sooner? But they get it done. They have the money to replenish any of the weaponry that they lost. Maybe a little bit light on some of the util. And NRG, this is this is fine for them. They've built up a bit of economy. They're still very much in a position to contend here. But their winning streak, something that they were very relying on inertia for a little bit there as well. They are now going to have to kick themselves back into gear off the back of that. And just treat it more as a speed bump than a setback. Because 4 rounds in a row needed. It's possible. They've literally just done it. Need to see it again.
They go right back to what they thought worked before, mid-control, but they're met by heavy hellfire. Drop to 45, AMERICA and OCEANIA won't be contending for very long in this round. Now Nouns sit back pretty. They don't actually have a lot to worry about just yet. They've fully stacked 4 on this B side. Very, very confident in their gamble. Maybe currently ill-read, as right now NRG are suspicious elsewhere. Currently nobody resides in A main. They've left the entire A site's defense to one man's reign, the king of CJ. In which he's not had the most impressive game, but it's also not been quiet. It'll be up to him to stop them from taking this map control. Not about delaying a site take. At that point, if they exec in, he's not stopping them. He's just holding donut.
Yep, that is your goal, is to live long enough for your teammates to come over. But the fact that they've heard nothing B, you can see they are quickly running on over. The smoke in mid, it's all starting to add up for them. And the fact that they have got ahead of this curve here could be huge. The fact that they've managed to get Carson and Rush over could be everything. Carson gets the first there. Rush has found another. Going for a little bit more, and they're chipping away. And that's just going to mean that Rush can farm on up. Puts them into the wood chipper. And Hex, it has to be a final stand. There's the first 4 more needed. It's going to need to be the ace. And unfortunately, Crossfire well established on this position, and he will not get any further. And that is going to be Nouns taking map number 1 of the evening. And I was going to say in style, it was a very stylish start. A little bit slower towards the end, but we've got to give NRG credit there. They managed to keep their cool, and they saw the daunting scoreline, but they still managed to bring back to what I'd say is, it's a respectable scoreline.
I could agree. Yeah, and I think the big ordeal now is the difference of stories we go into the second map with. Now, for NRG, I believe actually contending for the 2nd seed in ECL is out of the question, but now it's about holding on to where you currently stand. Staying as that 3rd seed again, setting yourselves better up for playoffs, and the difference in story now becomes from obviously going after that top, it felt like it was just going to be a blowout. We were only talking about Nouns. It should have been a quick and swift 2-0. Now, we maybe have more of an argument to mention for NRG, but at the same time, you speak of arguments, you could put up a pretty good one for this guy.
Yeah, Junior Arcadia, player to watch of tonight, has just done really well. Maybe not the top of the scoreboard, but consistently good and finding the impact, helping out with those opening fights and trades as well. And actually managing to keep themselves alive and hold on to some of those weapons a fair amount too, which is just as important, especially on that CT side. But very, very nice game as well. However, we are going to head to a little bit of a break, replenish our snacks and drinks, and get ourselves ready for the 2nd series of the day, where these 2 teams go head-to-head once again. Can NRG break the curse? It will be soon to be seen. Now, don't go anywhere. You will not want to miss it. Hello and welcome back, everybody. Best of one, number one is done and dusted. Number two is laid up and waiting for us in the wings now. But we do have to find out what our map veto is going to be. We have already played once today on Ancient, so we will not be seeing that. That is for sure. But we'll find out what we're playing for the second one now. It was a little bit of an interesting one. Really strong, really heavy start there from the likes of Nouns. But then NRG, they did manage to claw back to a somewhat decent scoreline. It wasn't even close to overtime, but it was a lot better than it could have been. And it looks like Dust 2 is where our second map is going to be.
You did say done and dusted. I hate to be that guy, but
I jinxed
seems
it.
we're going to wind
God
up
damn
there,
it.
right? Hey, man, all I'm saying, I was never a Dust 2 lover. But it's back in the pool, and it's back on our plate anyway, and we're going to ingest it and like it. NRG and Nouns, I honestly couldn't imagine a better battleground considering what that ending of the game looked like. And again, I really want to draw attention to in the middle of the game where you mentioned 3 players, 1 kill, and there's more breakdown to it that actually goes to benefit your point. And specifically, there's so many games where you don't necessarily see players playing so hot. You see for one reason or another, you know, it's stats not showing up, this, that. But it was a different kind of not showing up. There's a ton of different reasons that your players may not find impact. Maybe they're not being set up efficiently. Maybe they are missing shots. Maybe there's just not enough misdirection. But that was kind of case in point. NRG getting out-aimed, not having proper responses to deal with aggression from T's, and that's why you saw the stat line that you did. So it is kind of unacceptable to have something like that late on into the game. Now carrying it over to Dust 2, where it's more tailored to taking those one-on-one engagements. Both of these teams were very headstrong about doing it on both respective sides. We saw NRG a couple of times try to take the fight to them through mid, try to go down B ramp and contest them where it hurt. Same thing with Nouns. They would just run through smokes, take heads with them, and take rounds behind it. You go to Dust 2, that's exactly what you want in a map like this. I'm not shocked at all to see us wind up here.
No, it's a map that both of these teams have played a fair amount throughout the season. Nouns have played it 5 times and lost only once, albeit one of those wins was a forfeit win. NRG has won the knife round, which means they get to choose probably to start on that CT side there. And talking of NRG on this map as well, they've had really good results on it. 13-1 versus Fluffy Amos, 13-6 versus Mythic, 13-3 versus Revenge Nation. The only time that a team has taken them to double digits is when they lost this to Legacy. On the flip side, however, for Nouns, it's been a lot of overtimes. It's been a lot of really close games, and one of their victories was just a forfeit win as well. So out of the 4 that they've played, they've won 2, lost 2.
Yeah, it's the main story being that Nouns, when they win, it's close. When they lose, it's bad. For Nouns, not for Nouns, for NRG, it's the direct inverse. When they win, it's great. When they lose, it's insanely close. And you mentioned it yourself, the one that should stick out to me, you, and everybody alike is that loss to Legacy. 13-10 is no easy feat, and that is one of the best teams in the region, contending to be one of the better teams in the world. So you can't be upset about that. This is a very confident, comfortable, great map for NRG. And if they want to bounce back with the little momentum they garnered in the second half of Ancient, this is the place to find yourselves. On the CT side, they'll be defending what Nouns throw at them. It was a rocky start on Ancient, but now some newer included territory of Dust 2 is going to reawaken them.
Now a little bit of a tap through mid as Carson and Nitro lock eyes with each other. In the heat of the battle, both of them going to come away with a little bit of a tag, but nothing more than that. And now a very heavy mid presence. They've cleared through tunnels. Now it's only really Nitro that they have to contend with in the nearby area. They have sent a little bit of presence in the likes of Junior over towards that B site, just as a contingency and backup. Maybe playing the long game and waiting for the flank. But right now, just very quiet, approaching mid, and Nitro is just going to back away.
Splits that even on pistols, but the split heavily favors B, and I don't think we're going to stay even for very much longer. Hacks, great response in tunnels, and that's giving them a great backline to go back in and defend this site from. Maybe you'll get this plant, sure, but you're about to lose Carson in middle. You're about to be down on numbers. You're about to be stuck having to post plant in a massive disadvantage, and Rush, he's not going to help you one bit.
No, this is a difficult site to retake often, but actually just a nice clean shot, and it looked like all of those bullets, they're just dancing around there, none of them able to hit. Magnetism at work in its finest, but Loads of time for the defuse, and as you said, suddenly they had the bomb down. That's good money. It means they can force into the next round. But they didn't have anybody left to even defend the plant with. So it was sort of done and sorted. But, as we said, money from the bomb plant should they choose to go for a force in.
I doubt it. Let them have it. It's too early on to be making these risks for Nouns. But I guess it's a late round decision that changes their minds. They've only got one AK, though. The one thing that worries me about this round is flashes. Those are the most important piece of utility for Dust 2, for long, for mid, for B. Everywhere you go, you need flashes, and they've only got 2 of them. Use them wisely.
Yeah, we will have to count as they are expended. And there's one of them. Try round them round the corner. Carson gets the first. That nade is going to be monumental. Hex gets one and Automatic another, and they are weak and squishy. But Rush, what a crazy peek there. Kill onto Hexed, and now 3v3 still on hand. Rush is distinctly hobbling, however, and Nitro here could be huge. They're not going to expect him. There's the bomb dropped as well, and now they can all converge round and lock out anybody. They know that mid is where it's going to have to be. There's a minute on the clock. Junior in a tough situation. I like this, however, CJ going around the world.
Yeah, this is the play you want to be making, and, well, it's not the greatest endeavor to find yourself in. It's a winnable one for sure, so this MAC-10 will charge headstrong back into middle. Now, the good part is you've only got a 1v1 to potentially take anywhere, and he's even taken a couple extra seconds to really cross his T's and go through tons. Now, it's a guaranteed 1v1 on Nitro, who's, lucky enough, found himself a handful of smokes, and is now going to force you to walk right back in if you want to attempt this. CJ has one of his own, but I don't really know how much it'll benefit him in the long run. Time dwindling thin, becoming the #1 enemy, and it'll eventually force him to reveal his cover. No more anonymity to be seen here shortly as Nitro is ready for him to walk through the smoke. No. Cross paths in Nitro's favor. NRG, calm, cool, collected for a second.
It got a little bit scary there. They just miss each other in the smoke, and luckily it's Nitro that comes out on top here, and Nouns forced by dismantled. And technically, they're in a very similar position financially that they were when they bought. Potentially they could go for it again. Not the smart move, though. You're only likely to see a couple of these Tech 9s coming out. There's a Deagle on Carson as well. And 2 flashes on CJ, so there's clearly a plan here. And it looks like it's heavy over towards long. And unfortunately here for Carson, he is in a rough spot.
Not looking too hot, but then again, it's a tale as old as time, or Glocks versus AKs, M4s, whatever kind of shebang you want to throw up for them. It's just never going to be a winning favoritism for these Glocks, and yeah, pistols just live exactly to what they're prophesized to be, which is absolutely nothing. And a quick start from NRG is a role reversal.
It's really refreshing when you see an eco round go exactly how an eco round should, right?
Yep.
Because too many times I've been seeing these eco rounds where there's been like a single CZ on a player, and they've got like a jumping, flying kill as they drop down into canals on Anubis, and they win the round off the back of that. I'm just really glad sometimes to see an eco round being an eco round.
It is a breath of fresh air. It's way too common nowadays that we see like one Deagle turn into a potential round win. Case in point, OC, last map.
It makes our jobs really difficult, doesn't it? Because we're like, oh, it's an eco round, you know, we're not going to be expecting too much. They can maybe limit test, and then they win the round, and we're like, well, we look stupid now.
Well, there goes my paycheck.
Oh, now talking of paychecks, this nade is going to be making every single pound it was worth it. And there we go, softened up both Carson and George to 50% health, and with the SMG there, it can do serious damage. Junior having a little bit of a nosy, just holding for anyone daring to even peek this, but no one is going to be silly enough to do that. Automatic made the smart decision. Should just sit in CT and wait.
Lot of time being expended from Nouns, just waiting for the opportune moment to strike. But this is a double-edged sword. Again, Nitro, a couple rounds ago, he ran into some good fortune thanks to the smokes recovered in lower tons. Same to be happening here, and he's even got a nice cheeky lineup. Throw that molly, and it might be one of the last things you do, as the spam will follow suit right afterward. The flash in, misses the mark. Nitro's got maybe 2 lockdown, but not the B-site.
That's a rough one, and the fact that they let another person slip in, and that's the AWP coming on out, singing loud, singing proud, and now the utility as well. Not much of it, but just a little bit for that stall potential, trying to just dissuade NRG from even looking at attempting this. And you can see they're going for exits here. They're not pushing the issue. They're not in a position to do so, and they've got too much to save given how their money's looking. It's looking pretty good, but again, you want to try to be building it up in the background even when you're on these losses. And, yep, quiet round. Nouns might need to be a little bit careful here. Are they going to expect Breezy? Well, not for the first, and they should have for the second, and now suddenly Junior takes a whole chunk of damage. Anything earlier in the round, and he would have been done for. And that's actually a very nice way to salvage a couple of kills at the end.
I'm surprised mid went as swimmingly as it did, because we both mentioned that heater of a nade that just sinks onto Carson and George to kick off the round, and they start backing away. They fall off. They say, you know what, mid, not our day. And then eventually, later on in the round, they use it to not only leverage their way into the B site, but leverage that post plant beyond that fact. There was still a 3-on-3, an opportunistic spot. Just a window quickly closed by one man in automatic. Rather, I'm sorry, by, I believe it was actually Junior. However, the point still stands that Nouns used it to actually win themselves the round. And NRG want nothing to do with aggression toward long this one round. It's just maybe some quick spotting from Breezy. A majority of it actually taking place on Catwalk. And NRG will assumingly play a retake if things go awry.
Definitely looks like the plan for them right now. If they can not have to play retake, that works better for them, because retakes, they've been not necessarily the easiest or best showings from them. So if they can stop it in the first place, that is awesome. Denies the money, denies the challenge that comes after. And Nouns, I really like that they're playing this very passively, because over on Ancient, it just seemed like fight after fight in the first 20 seconds. And now this, they're playing at a little bit quieter of a pace, trying to make NRG uncomfortable. But the issue is, NRG, it doesn't seem like the same team that we saw on Ancient. It's a team that's happy to be patient. However, they've rotated everyone pretty much over towards this A site, and unfortunately that bomb has started moving and schmoving over to B.
Nitro's not even going to bother committing here. As time dwindles thinner and thinner, he's just going to wait. Maybe see somebody in tons, maybe not. The moral of the story is, yes, you've only got 1 on B, but what you have is 20 seconds to make a thing go right. And 2 kills from Nitro? Hell, you'll take that. Sure, get the plant for all they care. They're sprinting back in, and numbers are just too much in the favor of NRG for this round to fall by the wayside. 4 to go. At this point, dive in. He's got to stick the plant around the pillar. He'll get it, but he'll get nothing else beyond it.
It's nice they get the plump, but lovely done there. Nitro gets any less than 2, and that round's suddenly so much more difficult because you have somebody to defend your bomb plant there. It means that you have that little bit of an extra second for somebody to pull out their weapon, and you can really contend this. When you're on your own, you need to plant, you want the money, you know that that is the only way that this round is even feasible, and then you just don't have time because they know that you can't fake this, you know that there's no time, so you just swarm them, they get it down, but you get the immediate kill. Nitro misses the second one there. The fact that they haven't cleared him out like twice. And the moment I start making another comment, NRG decides to step up once again.
I'm liking these protocols from NRG, to be completely honest with you, with the exception of the flub in the previous round before, you know, obviously the Nitro insane pickup. It has actually been rather solid. Hasn't been any, like, crazy committal duels, which I think is a big difference from what we saw in the early stages of Ancient on that CT side, where they were a lot more gung-ho about actually sticking around and trying to win a duel and trying to find a trade and trying to win the round. Here, it's, you know, take a jiggle, we don't get the kill we want, we fall back, we reset, we regroup, we play the long game.
Hext, a player that you have talked highly about, and a couple of frags like that, 3 in a round to secure themselves a 5th, and this is feeling very reminiscent of what happened to them over on Ancient. But it's really nice to see that, you know, they had a very, very rough start. They were burning through timeouts, but the fact that they managed to keep their cool, and even after a loss, reset, come back into this less than 10 minutes later to just go right into the fray and pull out results like this, really good to see. Now, Junior has that T-side orb, something that we're not always getting to see a whole lot on Dust 2 when it's not directly looking through mid, and it's not. They've sent him over towards B to try help out with the little bit of a problem they've been having. Not again. Please don't let it. Oh my god.
Okay, that should be a warning and a wake-up sign for NRG, who have now a couple of times let this slip with a Nitro 1-for-1 trades required in mid to even progress into a site retake. Benefit is, it's currently 3-on-3. If they would have just go guns a-blazing, charge back in Rambo style, but I don't think they have a high intention of doing that.
Somehow, I agree. They don't have a high intention. This is a very difficult one. This B site is so difficult to crack, and potentially Breezy finds a kill on CJ, but that time is already really ticking. You've got way too much on you to risk it. You really don't have to rebuy it, and with that timer already, 2-third's gone. All it is now is damage control, because they've got somebody covering every single exit. No exit is safe here. So they're trying to just keep them on here and take away every single one of those weapons. They are just going to bunker down on site. And luckily, are going to live because no damage has been taken. But that one, I like the ending there for NRG. I like that they've got every exit on lockdown, just in case.
I assume they were hoping some damage was exchanged on anybody else,
yeah.
But no dice. I imagine B is also going to drastically look different here. Even though we've seen Nitro do well, I think they're leaving a lot to his individual success, and it's a bit uncomfortable. Usually I feel a setup when you're especially A-heavy on defaults is 3-1-1, but they've actually been 4-1. They've kept a 4th player close to Catwalk. He's the interim CT/mid player that has been entirely absent when Nitro's needed him.
OC, it's a beautiful flash, but actually nothing really capitalized off of it. He's going to hit the Molotov, but he's got a little bit of a window still to work with. George, it's an incredible peak. Automatics found one of his own, however. Breezy, it's messy, and that would have been a huge one to find, but George doubles up and doubles down with a 2K to secure themselves the site. And I'll be honest with you, probably secure themselves the round here, especially with Junior now watching the angle that they're desperately trying to peek.
That was a great misdirection from Nouns going through that smoke. It was all a bait and switch. You saw the shoulder of the first man running out. I want to say it was CJ, and then, right back at you. George is actually taking an angle above the railing, just barely enough to where he can see outside of it, and everybody is so focused about that run through. Everybody is so focused about you scaling up elbow that nobody keeps a glance on on George's angle, and he just finds mounds of success. It's one player. And it's all it takes for Nouns to scale their way into an A-site berth and a round win. And we mentioned, Breezy, it was an unfortunate going of the player on the long wall. I actually don't know how much it mattered. Even if he finds one, held 2 on Cat, it's still only one remaining to fend off. You had 3 players sneaking around the corner along. It was a guaranteed trade. It was still guaranteed numbers up. And it was still Nouns round to begin with. The real question is how they scale that far on Catwalk, not only undetected, but untouched.
Yeah, Nouns, it's nice to see that they're not down and out. I was a little bit worried that we were going to see just a stomp at the start of the first half. This match definitely looking a lot more competitive in the early stages. Orbs out on both sides, which is what we like to see. Are we going to get the traditional duel down mid? That we are, and OC is going to win it on out, and it's not actually going to be the Orb that's taking that fight. Maybe a little bit to OC's surprise there. Because Junior spots an elbow.
What?
What?
I didn't even know you could do that! Alright, bro! Nah, back to the lobby. See it. Don't even bother. Don't even try it. It's not gonna work. Molly's exchanged looks at the same caliber, and you got damage on this cross, but this bomb is a guaranteed shutdown. And Rush is coming in from a cat flank, almost at least guaranteed of the one. But guess what? This box, oh, he thought he could. Wait, OC doesn't actually keep a mark on this. They have no idea. He's actually all the way behind. It's retake, and they both line up. Rush doing it all himself as he spots the last two. Now it's dead in the water.
How was the noise not heard? Because it wasn't just the drops down, it was then the running towards them. Maybe sound needs a little bit of adjusting there. Maybe you need to have your game sounds a little bit higher than your teammates sometimes. But that's a massive faux pas there. That's just a missed, I'd say a missed audio cue. That was 4 missed audio cues. And then if you count individual footsteps, that's like 10 missed audio cues. So, bit of a rough one there for the side of NRG. And also, Junior, they deserve to win the round just purely off the back of that single AWP shot through the box. It's cold. It's brutal. But it's exactly what Nouns needed to get themselves back into this.
I literally didn't know you could do that.
I've seen it done. I know that it was possible. I've never seen someone actually manage to hit the shot that cold, though. Like, because there's still a lot of room behind that box. And you got to be really careful because, of course, you're going through a wall, quote-unquote, so it's not going to do the max amount of damage. But just so clean from Junior.
I'm just astonished I've never seen it. You know, I don't have the craziest resume in the game. I've only been playing since 2017. But in my 7, maybe combined 8,000 hours total, I did not know that was a thing. Needless to say, I will never touch that box again.
Nope. That's his box now.
I'm
Junior
good, bro.
has claimed it.
That's all you. He marked it.
I love seeing moments like that. It's watching people who are good at what they do is just awesome. George, there's a lot of utility being thrown his way, and that's a very dangerous angle to hang around and spray in because there is only a very, very small window that you can be in, and anyone aims even remotely near that, and it's going to be your head and chest pumped full of bullets. Now, does back away. They are through the doors now. And they're slowly approaching up long, clearing out cart. They've not seen anything, but it's Breezy up on the side that they have to deal with. Because unfortunately, OC has already been a little bit distracted by Catwalk. There's the first pick, and it immediately pulls back onto side. OC finds one, but in the meantime, George has got another. He's burning alive, and that second shot, was it worth it, OC? No, it was not. Hex gets another, and now 2v3 Rush Nitro. This is an awkward fight here, and it's going to be a matter of who spots who first, and I think the Shadow gave it away just a little bit there, but this round,
there's always been someone lurking.
They're still going for it though. They've got a kid.
I have to.
No. I think what they were doing is if they'd spotted anybody, they would have gone for it off the back of finding a pick there. If somebody had been looking car and they'd managed to find the kill on them. But yeah. No. Not presented with any opportunities. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and now they tie up that scoreboard 5-5.
From what, a 5-1 start to 4-0, technically?
Yeah. Well, it was a 4-0 start, 5-1, yeah.
So.
It's something else. Nouns, they raised their eyebrows at us for ever questioning their ability to play this map.
I mean, I thought this was like written in the stars for NRG with everything that was lining up as of late. It felt like this was theirs to lose. Oh, don't you do it! Junior gives a warning shot to Hex through the wall. As much a warning as 73 HP can be. But a salty start to the 11th round may leave you desperate for a response.
Yeah, salty stun. You're going to need to quench the thirst here, and it's going to be... the response is going to be for Nouns to back away a little bit, regroup, and just keep this mid-control, head over a little bit towards B. For the side of NRG, not really doing too much. They've got Breezy poking around at long doors, just trying to clear out any information. Unfortunately, he's not quite looking in the right spot here.
No, and they're all going to pause. But this gives NRG a great amount of time to try and respond. Take something back, maybe work mid-control. But again, these are two islands of sites that are completely isolated from one another. You've got two on B that are likely never going to get that support line from Automatic and CT spawn. So this is a hold your own or just go out with the wind kind of round. You don't even have that much utility either. That's your last smoke. And unfortunately, I think they've just missed it.
Yep, that doesn't look intentional. Or maybe, you know, maybe it's psychological warfare. It's all to distract. That's a lovely Molotov in response there, but unfortunately the smoke is going to be in the way there.
Oh my god, wait, Automatic snuck through it. They actually didn't see him. Carson's behind him. They're flanking the flanker, but they're still hexed. Car, 17 seconds seems too small a time frame for Nouns to make any errors. And the amount that comes through going to poise a round win guaranteed for NRG. When you drop the bomb on the entry, when you lose numbers with 17 seconds to go, it's usually not a great outlook.
Fumble the ball, fumble the bomb. It's just not working out at the moment. Nouns, they had something really nice going for them. They've hit a little bit of a curb here, but they've got the money to be to buy back into this, which is really nice. I really love when we get to see, you know, 2-3 in a row all-out firefights. Everyone with max arsenal online, because it really helps you differentiate. It means that teams can kind of mess around and figure out what's working for them and limit test a little bit. And it's through mid once again for Nouns, where they're not going to be met with any resistance this time, except for a little bit of Hext having a look, a little bit of OC having a look from each direction. They've got these fights kind of a bit isolated. Alternatively, they can trap like fish in a barrel in mid, and they're just going to be shot at one by one. They go one apiece right now. An Automatic rush on forward as the smoke rule blossoms. Unfortunately, going to be taken down, not quite safe in time by the pillow re-emerging. Breezy gets one, but a bullet to the dome as his thank you gift. And now Hex, last left alive, finds CJ. Rush is low on HP, but Junior with the AWP, and that bomb is down in an awkward location, but it's going to be a 6-6 half to close us out here.
No separation whatsoever between these two, and you could tell NRG are fighting. A lot of grit left in them, but same for Nouns, who started down 4-0, 5-1. They find themselves here, and on even footing, this pistol is anybody's for the taking.
That it is, and it would be a really nice way to start the half off. Nouns, slower start. They were 4 rounds, so 4-0 down at the start. I think it went 5-1 for a while, and now it would be really nice for them to get off on the right foot here. But for NRG, they really want to kick this back up into gear. George with the first. It's a lovely pick and still waiting around for a little bit more. Spots a shoulder. He's going to get a bullet to the head. That's a goosh that's going to make him run for the hills. On the other side of the map, there's going to be a little bit of a map here. Hext spots out Carson, picks up his weapons, and now the Julie is repossessed. And now 4v4 on our hands, and I think they've realized that A is the play.
Initially thinking it's far more vulnerable, but they couldn't be more wrong. These dualies at long range could give them a much easier time if Hex can create a bigger ruckus. Currently pulling 3 players' attention to the other end of the map. Right now, the only one to defend the A site is going to be George on 12 HP. It's not the hottest of HP bars to work with, but these still making it work. 3 on 4, the bomb is down. There are kits for this.
There are indeed, and everyone is coming on over, but Breezy, every kill that they get makes this so much harder. Nitro's backing away for 1, but actually it's going to take a while for him to get it. Rush is in the middle of all the battle. Gets a kill. It's not going to be enough, and NRG, they take the second pistol round, and that's a really important one to win, especially when your opponent's on CT side, because it really gives them a slow start to the half. CT economy is so punishing. It's so difficult to get online and then to keep stable. So losing that pistol round, that's a really rough position. It looks like they are going to just force into this, however.
You're right, but my memory serves me correctly. Every force bite has gone down the gutter, and it doesn't seem like Nouns have learned from the history. But then again, foolishness sometimes can be the right play. NRG, quite the substantial upgrade in weaponry almost everywhere you look, featuring rifles, MAC-10s, utility, almost everything you could ask for to have the upper hand in a round like this. But Nouns aren't going to back down for free. They've got an MP9 well established and hopefully well orchestrated. With Carson's 2 flashes, you could be in for a world of trouble.
Let's see what they do. Carson is going to tap away the first one, gets the kill, but actually the pistols, they are sticking out. OC, that's the difference maker, is that kill over onto Junior. George has found 1 elsewhere on the map, and it's brought them a little bit of room to work with, but he's now left really, really weak. But to 1v2, they play this right. They can isolate the 2v1. They just need to not feed into OC. He thrives in these isolated fights. Do not let him take them. He's very paranoid too, because he's got no idea where they could be coming from, but it has to be quick. That nade's going to be the clue where they're heading. Spots both of them. There's the kill. They're going to hop straight on the defuse, and there should be time even without the kill there. And it's a difficult one there for OC. Too many angles, too many avenues, and unfortunately Nouns, they are worming their way in everywhere on the map.
And finally, history changes a little bit. Now we get some interesting play with the bomb plant featured. NRG have the opportunity to attempt the force buy, though it seems doubtful currently. No purchases yet. Taking their time, really thinking about this, but so far it's just one smoke.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
There's a commitment.
Takes him the last second.
That's a full buy, I'd argue. That is a full buy. That is all of their resources thrown at the walls there. And albeit it doesn't look like much, but as an overall percentage of the money that they had, it's everything. Now, Nouns a real opportunity to punish here. CJ the King hiding where Nitro caused so many problems for them on their CT side. Have they learned from their own strat book here?
I imagine they have. Rush. Gun's not out. Gun's not out. It's just a 1v1 essentially for CJ, who's uncleared. Sprays 2. Rush isolated on the site, but the flashes start raining over from mid. And this is where the round becomes almost unwinnable. Deagle needs a headshot, and it comes close. Just not close enough. Automatic is left in an unrecoverable situation. Dire straits in lower mid, and Carson will make efficient use of the kill in tons. So a lead regained by Nouns, and for the first time this game, it's them on top. Now 8 for 3 in the last 11 rounds.
Rush there was in such an awkward position because you could see him double take. You could see that he thought he'd got the kill and then had to go back to finish the job. We've all done it. That moment where we just look away or flinch because, yeah, no, we've done it. We've put enough bullets into them. Surely they're still not alive. But gets the kill. It's so unfortunate because I think there could have been one or more. If the A1S bullet is what it was 2 years ago, that could have been just a third kill. But he runs out of bullets, doesn't have time to bring out the sidearm. But the fact that he keeps so calm and manages to find so much impact there. Ooh. We've also been talking a lot about the HE grenades this round, and they have been doing a lot of damage here. Yeah, parkouring his way on over to help in mid.
Wait, what? That's not even Junior. That's a really big kill to lose because the last remaining man to stop this split is 10 HP and CT spawn.
Yeah, rough one, and now they all come piling up catwalk. The issue is they had the advantage going through mid, but now they're winning
it's
out.
Glocks!
Pistols?
It's a 1v3 and it was Glocks coming into the round. Junior, I don't know how you're supposed to fight that back. They didn't invest a single penny here for NRG. Not a flash, not a smoke. It is Glocks and dreams.
There's no words. There surely a timeout, no? No timeout. Just straight back into the fray there. And with what is a messy buy here. They've got that AWP and they wanted to keep Junior on the AWP because it's been finding some level of results. Not what we want to and what we'd expect to from him mostly. But they've not really got the weaponry and the utility to support it here. Maybe it's going to be an interesting round. But we did just see, as you said, 5 Glocks and nothing but win a round. So I'm just going to zip it on that one. Nothing's real. Economy doesn't matter. Run pistols every round. Just get the kills.
Well, it seems like Carson has followed that direction to a T. Walks into A house, gets a kill, backs away, and now if you want to swing back in, you got a lot bigger of a punch to meet you and Junior's up. Now, in mid they go, Nitro leading the charge. Not a lot more to favor the side of Nouns after that kill, so it's not like NRG are speechless in the current endeavor, but it's also not like Nouns are without their ideas. Flashing into catwalk, they get good information on what's to come.
I'm also quite curious as to what they think the buy that they're up against is, because they've only taken down that one pistol, so they know that there was a pistol. Do they think that it is everyone on these pistols? And
oh my lord.
That's it. That could have been so much more. They're relying on Carson to step up, but he's only good for 2 there, but OC left low. I say only good for 2. Does everything that he needs to and a little bit more. Has left OC alive to go send a message to everybody else, and he has the bomb on back. He is going to be running over towards that site. Has to be careful though. Footsteps. He's not close enough that they've been heard just yet, but Junior, he's going to have the reaction times of a god here. There's the tag. Needs to do this up close and personal. The flick not quite going to hit. Dancing around the barrel. OC gets one. There's been a warded bomb plant here. Upgraded the weapon, playing with his signature. And now 2v1. He hops him up. You can hear both of them. They don't quite manage to find him, but there we go.
Dude, you give him that 1 kill on the boxes. Oh man, OC is going to make you regret giving him that op.
Yep.
But
it's
duels are always tricky.
It's a very rough angle too. Even the best of the best AWPers, that's a really rough fight with the AWP because your gun barrel sticks out wherever you go, right? So they know exactly which direction you're facing. They can tell exactly which direction around the box you're going to go, which makes it very difficult. And the no-scopes, whilst you can get to a certain level where you can kind of predict what they're going to do, they are still wildly inaccurate. They are still really difficult to hit. So it would have taken a whole hell of a lot for that to be a positive outcome. But I like the thought, and as you said, so close to greatness there, and you shouldn't be putting yourself in situations like that because OC is one of the people that can really run away with it.
So is Carson. So I like their faith in him right outside the longhouse, but at the same time, when you're 1v2, it's not an easy duel to win. But they're taking aggressions everywhere. Full control of tons, keeping Carson in front of Long. 3 players out mid. Nouns have set up one of the most straightforward and aggressive defenses you're going to see in modern-day Counter-Strike.
It's so aggressive, but that flash is going to be the end of it all. And now here we go. Junior jumping on top of the boxes. Lovely little bit of an off angle here. The flash. Going to cause him to back away, however.
And they reset the timing. NRG grasping at straws right now. And we've got to mention that beyond that Glock round, this half has not been that amazing. They won the pistol. They lost the force. They lost the subsequent force after that force. And then ever since, it's just not really had that much pizzazz to it. They sneak up long to try and change around that fact with a flash to aid George in crossing the car, and they're none the wiser to get collected through the smoke and leave them in a 2-on-4. Nitro sneaks into enemy lines, not detected, not calm, somehow doing damage, and eventually gets put to an end.
That indeed is the end, and next. That bomb very difficult to retrieve, and yes, he has all the space in the world to work with, but with 10 seconds and no bomb, there is no round. This one.
You at least get this AK, but at what cost?
Your dignity, your pride in a round, I think is the cost.
I mean, it almost hurts you to say this AK because look at everybody around you, right? This is a full save for NRG. You're going into a buy round in the following, so unless Hext can somehow carry this AK through to the following round, you've now got one of your star fraggers on a MAC-10, a Deagle, in one of the most important rifle rounds of this round robin for you, and that's not an optimal start. There's definitely going to be hunts if they know Hext is the last alive with what he has saved, but that's even if you get that far. Flashing out, it is trying to take the first kill.
Rush as the bodyguard, however, they triple stack this angle, and they know that NRG, they have got such a propensity to play mid. And now automatic, 25 HP, that bomb. He can see it, but he cannot get it in the nade right on the top of the head. That one is going to be hurting tomorrow, and now 11. This was the cursed number, however, for Nouns. They were stuck on 11 for a really long time. So, maybe they can redeem themselves and get this sorted. I like that NRG is calling a timeout. However, the issue that they have is they call a timeout and Nouns gets to use that time too.
It's not just one horse in the race for NRG. There's a lot more to consider. And again, this is what I was mentioning, right? Look at Hext where he currently sits. $1,700 to spend however he'd like to see fit. But that leaves him with an SMG. You don't get a bomb plant here, you're looking at like table scraps for what could be the last round of this series. And you're also looking at an NRG team who's about to go from potentially 2 to maybe number 5.
It could be a big drop. Yeah, this is their final series of the group stage. And yes, they qualify no matter what for that playoff bracket because they will finish top 10 regardless of the outcome. They really, really wanted to keep that slot, so they didn't have to face up against Legacy until later in the tournament. Straight to semi-finals is a huge benefit, but George is going to be the first one to try put that dream to rest.
Hex hears this, but they're still fighting for mid. There's no trades. They're going to get out almost unscathed. Spam late OC spotted. George, or rather Junior, still taking these fights, wanting more. Like a shark, he smells the blood in the water. But eventually decides to tame himself and fall back into CT spawn. NRG, this mid-round movement isn't doing them very much. Automatic is clearing out these niche angles in spawn, or rather in lower tons. But now, this is the next issue. There's so many different spots to clear to make sure Nouns aren't trying to wiggle their way into another cheeky frag. Extend this advantage further. That's going to continuously eat away at this clock. You're already under 50 seconds to go, and you have almost no utility to support your cause. The bomb almost soon detected by CJ. This is the round like.
The kills, if there had been another trade, that would have been an empty bomb site potentially to work with. But no, it's not. And they both topple. And now just OC left. 1v4 needed, and it's looking pretty dire. A smoke, a flash, his wits about him. And unfortunately, players on both sides. He hears the drop down. And that's going to be his call. Maybe that he can move over in that direction. But 15 seconds. It's just a matter of watching that timer disappear. Is George going to get to him first? He's spotted. He sees the head and takes it down. But 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5. And the bomb too far away. And that is going to be series point.
They're going to try it. OC not out of the water yet. Half HP. Junior runs in with the dualies and a desperate attempt to take away that last remaining rifle, which would have been a straight kill shot to NRG, if not already. Averaging about $3 grand a player, it's not pretty. And you're riding with pistols, upgrades, light SMGs into what could be your last round of this entire day. And ECL alongside at least the regular season.
Yeah, it's been going on since July, and you've had such good results for it to end like this, for you to slide quite dramatically down the rankings and lose that lovely seeding in the last day with Rough. And of course, oh, Carson, he does it. He gets 2. Junior gets a 3rd automatic. He finds 1. And he's astral projecting right now. We can see him in 3rd person. But even that might not be enough to save him. Rush has the battle with Hex to contend with. And unfortunately, Hex, Rough, Angle, and Rush is already on it. Spamming through the wood. Actually, he rounds the corner, gets the kill, and upgrades his weapon as well. Now, slipping into the smoke. Just going to dodge the line of sight of CJ. But next up, Junior. His next challenge.
Junior's wise about this, though. You saw him already suspect somebody inside of the smoke. I'm sure this angle is going to at least get half checked, let alone a full clear. Scoped in. Hex has another opportunity in front of him. Not checked, and it seems like he's not ready to let this game slip through his fingertips just yet. Again, time not amazing, but the map is their canvas right now in which they can paint whatever picture they'd like. B, A, mid, all alike. They just wait. Nouns, it feels like they have to make the next move. It's a slow crawl. And these seconds tick away like eternities, but eventually the bomb has to pick a destination, and right now, it seems CJ's is the one to be tested.
Is indeed. Is he going to be ready for it? He hears the footsteps, he turns around, he has the right idea, but the wrong execution. And now George left to try secure this round. They have a little bit of a buffer if they want to go for it. He's got the angle. Do they know where he is? I don't think so. So now they wait for it. They're just going to tuck in. If he can find the kill on Hext, Automatic is going to round the corner immediately. He just misses the timing there, and suddenly, even harder job ahead. There is a kit available. If he can get ahead of this rotate, if he can find this kill, but actually I think it's already too late. There's the first one, but really needs to hop onto this bomb. Smoke coming on out. He's got the protection of the box. There's the jump. He's baited on out the shot, and he should have time as well here. It's going to be really close and down to the wire. But that's what it is. A matter of milliseconds, a matter of bullets. And they're going to take the second map as well. Nouns 2-0 in the best of ones today. And they have destroyed NRG's potential chance at an immediate semi-final position.
It's a statement win, and revenge tastes so sweet on a dish best served cold. You saw, rather, I mentioned earlier their double elimination from ESL Challenger Atlanta qualifiers via NRG. Well, as you came into this series talking about, never once have Nouns dropped a series to NRG in ECL, and it seems that will not yet be snapped. Not even close, to be completely honest with you. Both of these maps, there was a point where sure it was contentious, but that's all it really was. Live and die at that. It was Nouns from the get-go, and again, it feels like this is just too big an enemy for them to topple.
Indeed, indeed. And it's nice to see, history continuing itself there a little bit. I'm sure NRG, they're probably going to have a very long discussion about what went wrong and what they can do to maybe break this curse in the future, because they may well come up against each other in that group stage. But Arcadia, player to watch of the match, was in fact Junior, and I'll level with you, not the brightest star in the night sky today, not the games that we usually see come out of him, but they won both maps, so you can really look at it and go, it may not have had the highest number of kills, may not have had the highest ADR or whatever, but had the impact and was there and did what was needed of him.
Now, I almost want to say, just keeping an eye on this specific thing, it kind of highlights why Nouns are such a strong team currently, because Junior is and will always likely be the player to watch going into these series with Nouns in them. But this is still a victory minus him. So now where do we look? We look at Junior, we look at Rush, who both had phenomenal maps on Ancient, phenomenal maps on Dust 2, and pretty much single-handedly won this map for Nouns, even though it wasn't entirely required. You mentioned Junior did his job. It's not like he flubbed. Sure, a couple of layups may have not gone his way, but it doesn't necessarily mean he did anything inherently wrong. In fact, there were still a lot of rounds won by him with that not necessarily so impressive stat line. Nouns, knowing that you don't need your star opera to show up, knowing that you don't need one guy to win a map for you, where is the weakness on this team? Because right now, I could not tell you.
No, and especially with Rush looking on such good form as well, finishing that series, God, must have been like 24 and like 10 or something. It was crazy on both maps as well. And as you said, it was something we talked about, is a lot of people, they have these win conditions that they have one player that they really depend upon to get the victories here. And a lot of the times we see this be the case with Junior. You really need to see him stepping up, because if he's not stepping up, they have a really bad game. You mentioned it yourself, you know, the games that they win, they're usually landslides, but the game that they lose, also landslides as well. And this has got to be a real confidence booster for them, because now you know that you have the pieces and that they can work even when someone's having a weaker day, that you are not solely dependent on a link that could potentially weaken at any point. But I think that's us about done for the night though, isn't it?
It is, and honestly, I could not be happier with how Nouns showed themselves off. As much as I'm a little upset to see my boy fall short at the final hurdle, doesn't mean I'm not going to get to see him in playoffs and have an opportunity to root him on there. So look, everybody goes home happy for Nouns, maybe a little bit sour for NRG, but you can't be that upset because you still got your fighting chance for EPL.
Indeed. But with that, we are going to wish you all a wonderful night. Thank you so much for stopping by to the stream, cheering on the players and having hopefully a wonderful time in the Twitch chat as well. It has been a pleasure to bring you this game, and we hope you have a wonderful night. See you tomorrow for the final day of Group Stage.